On December 27, 2024, the Chinese military's newest 076 amphibious assault ship, the first of its class named Sichuan, was launched. Official media, bloggers, and nationalists erupt in celebration, flooding the internet with exaggerated and contradictory claims of cutting-edge technology. They're boasted of electromagnetic catapults, drone carriers, fixed-wing early warning aircraft capabilities, and even arresting wires at the stern, comparing its performance to light aircraft carriers. Some even claim this vessel propels China's navy into the world's top tier. But is this true? Or is this just a misrepresented drone carrier concept model, hyped by propaganda? Both official and semi-official sources assert that the 076 class displaces over 40,000 tons, measures 263 meters long, and is comparable to the U.S. Navy's American-class amphibious assault ships. Its 43-meter-wide deck is even larger, and they claim it uses electromagnetic catapult technology capable of launching fixed-wing early warning aircraft and drones, rivaling light carriers. But can such a 40,000-ton ship designed for amphibious operations also function as a carrier for shipborne aircraft in practice? Can this multi-role concept truly work? Some may argue this is China's next-generation cutting-edge technology. However, while these catapult claims dominate discussions, the electromagnetic catapult system on China's 003 aircraft carrier is reportedly stuck in testing, with little progress. Since testing news surfaced in late August 2024, months have passed with no official updates beyond a few satellite images. Among all current aircraft carriers worldwide, the only one with operational electromagnetic catapults in the U.S. Navy USS Gerald R. Ford, even the 003 carrier is cautious about declaring its catapult mature. How can the 076, with less displacement and far less power than the 003, generate enough electricity to drive catapults? Or that it can launch fixed-wing early warning planes and stealth drones? Let's analyze the drone angle. Chinese military experts like Shong Zhongping often compare Chinese ships to US vessels, claiming that if the 076 is equipped with electromagnetic catapults, it can leapfrog the need for vertical takeoff and landing aircraft and instead deploy large numbers of drones. U.S. amphibious assault ships like the Wasp and America classes can carry helicopters and vertical short takeoff and landing (V/STOL) aircraft like the F-35B. This is because the U.S. possesses a complete, mature VSTOL technology and operational system, backed by extensive research and development as well as robust carrier experience. China lacks vertical takeoff aircraft and hopes to counter the US by launching drones with electromagnetic catapults. But first, how will these drones land? Without vertical landing capabilities like the F-35B, they will need arresting wires or a complete landing system similar to aircraft carriers. Catapults are just the first step to getting planes airborne. Landing is a real challenge. For drones to land safely on ships, their designs must meet strict naval aviation standards. Otherwise, arresting wires could damage or destroy the aircraft. Even the US Navy has spent heavily on refining materials and algorithms for the MQ-25 Stingray drone arresting system. China's experience with carrier-based drone is limited. Can they overcome these obstacles so easily? Moreover, the 076 deck is smaller than a carrier's, leaving little margin for error. A single misstep during landing could set drones crashing into the sea. Given these challenges, can the 076 truly replace light carriers as claimed by launching large numbers of drones with catapults? Another critical point is that China's most notable drone, the GJ-11, has a payload of only around 2 tons and is relatively small. To operate from ships, it will need reinforced structures for takeoff and landing, reduced payload range, or stealth capabilities. If a drone swarm attack were ever attempted, the US Navy would not be defenseless, Advanced Aegis system, carrier-based early warning aircraft, and fighter like the F-35B and F-35C provide formidable detection and interception capabilities. In a large-scale drone attack, US forces could respond with missiles and interceptors, making it far from the one-sided advantage portrayed in science fiction scenario. On top of that, US export controls on high-performance chips are tightening. This will make it increasingly difficult for China to develop advanced AI drone swarms. In the event of conflict, power supply, communications, and control issues will only worsen. As the Sichuan ship launched, excitement spread with claims about its gas turbine and diesel generator integrated electric propulsion, supposedly enabling speeds of around 30 knots. While this system is indeed more advanced than older diesel engines and may boost speed to 28 to 30 knots, it mainly improves maneuverability for near-shore or mid-range operations. Compared to US nuclear-powered carriers, endurance remains a weakness. Long-range missions would require refueling ships to trail behind, and the catapult's power demands would strain resources. Such advanced propulsion and catapult systems are costly to maintain. Keeping several such ships on standby would impose significant financial and logistical burdens. Beyond technical shortcomings, some suggest the 076 launch may be a smokescreen. In recent months, corruption scandals and leadership upheavals have rocked the Chinese military. During such turbulent times, state media often highlights military advancements to distract the public. Launching the 076 may serve as a morale booster, stirring national pride and deflecting attention from internal issues. This strategy isn't new. Missile tests and carrier launches are often timed during sensitive periods to capture public attention. China's leadership is less concerned with external skepticism and more focused on domestic sentiment. Some military vloggers claim, just build 10 or 20 Sichuan-class ships with drones so we can overwhelm our opponents. Others assert, America's worst Christmas was ruined by China's 6th-gen fighter and the 076 launch. Such narratives are often self-indulgent, designed to satisfy domestic audiences. Whether China has the money and technology for future carriers like the 006, 007, or 008 is secondary. As long as the Navy presents ambitious blueprints, supporters remain enthusiastic. In reality, those familiar with military affairs understand that amphibious assault ships are primarily for landing operations, troop transport, and helicopter deployment. Their decks can accommodate VSTOL jets, but cannot match the operational capability of true aircraft carriers. While the US sometimes dub its WASP and America classes as light carriers, they are supported by aircrafts like the F-35B, V-22, Osprey, and CH-53K. Even if the F-35B operates from the decks, their combat capability is reliable. For China attempting to achieve next-gen aerial strike capabilities with drones and catapults on the 076 will take considerable time and effort. The deeper reason behind this is that China's Navy closely watches the US Navy, hoping to gain influence in the Pacific and Indian Oceans by combining quantity and technological advancement. However, breaking through the first and second island chains involves more than just having more warships. The US military's global network of bases, supply lines, alliances, and extensive combat experience cannot be matched simply by building more ships. Even if China builds 10 or 20 076 class vessels, the US would immediately adjust its military posture, strengthening electronic warfare and submarine forces to counter Chinese drone swarms and conventionally powered platforms. In a full-scale conflict, the first targets will likely be key shipbuilding and high-tech areas along China's southeastern coast. If naval bases and shipyards can't survive the initial strikes, maintenance and resupply would become nearly impossible. Losing one or two large ships could severely damage morale and industrial capacity. Consider the current state of aircraft carrier fleets. The UK's Queen Elizabeth-class carriers displace 65,000 tons and use ski jump takeoff system, but can carry 36 F-35B stealth fighters and helicopters. France's Charles de Gaulle, though only 40,000 tons, is nuclear-powered and carries Rafale fighters and E-2C early warning aircraft. The U.S. Navy operates more than 10 nuclear-powered carriers, supplemented by amphibious assault ships that can deploy F-35Bs. In contrast, China has just 3 conventionally powered carriers, with only the Fujian reportedly equipped with electromagnetic catapults, and none have achieved full combat readiness. Now, with the introduction of the Sichuan ship, a hybrid amphibious assault ship with complexity similar to a smaller carrier, China aims to deploy drones on a large scale. This appears to be an attempt to shortcut the carrier development process by pursuing a drone carrier concept. To outsiders, it seems more like a publicity stunt. Whether it will actually work remains uncertain for the next decade. China's shipbuilding capabilities have expanded rapidly, producing destroyers like the Type 052D and 055 in bulk, with amphibious ships like the Type 071 and 075 entering service. This has significantly enhanced China's nearshore power projection. However, these vessels are conventionally powered and relatively simple. High-end projects involving advanced technology such as carrier aviation systems, long-range logistics, and composite arresting gear still lag behind the US. Promoting the 076 as a breakthrough in long-range naval power is more self-consolation than reality. Experts and scholars in Taiwan quickly pointed out that hype surrounding the 076 may be a distraction from internal military conflicts or an effort to intermediate Taiwan and neighboring countries. However, the 076 alone cannot resolve the challenge posed by US and Japanese intervention in Taiwan. Extending operations to distant regions like the Indian Ocean without nuclear propulsion or adequate supply lines is unrealistic. The US and its allies' network of bases in the first and second island chains cannot be countered by a few 40,000-ton amphibious assault ships. Scholars caution against overestimating the 076's significance. Whether it will achieve operational reliability in 3 to 5 years is still unknown. From a technological development perspective, China's launch of the 076 is not surprising. Major power continuously explore new ship designs and operational concepts. However, promoting as the world's first drone carrier with electromagnetic catapults and claiming imminent breakthroughs is clearly exaggerated. Even if equipped with a low-end catapult, the ship must undergo sea trials to ensure system stability and resolve numerous issues with carrier-based aircraft and ship operations. Large-scale deployment is still far off. The Chinese Navy understands that it is only beginning to catch up with the world's most advanced carrier forces. Modern warfare relies on integrated systems and full chain support, not just 1 or 2 innovative ships. So what is real message behind the Sichuan ship high-profile launch? It appears to be more of a domestic propaganda effort designed to maintain public confidence in the government during economic downturns and political instability. The launch signals that despite economic struggles, China can still produce major military assets, blending aircraft carrier technology with amphibious ships. However, this kind of publicity may not hold up in real confrontations. The US is already wary of China's naval expansion and will likely respond with stricter technology embargoes and increased military deployments. In that scenario, the true test will not be the 076's capabilities, but whether China can sustain its shipbuilding industry and maintain the steady operations of radar, optical sensors, carrier-based aircraft, and logistics support systems. Over the past 2 decades, many of China's hyped military technologies have looked impressive on paper, but faced challenges in practice. High-altitude rocket artillery has struggled with accuracy. The J-20 stealth fighters' engines have encountered persistent issues. The 003 carrier's electromagnetic catapult remains in development, and some systems on the Type 055 destroyer remained undisclosed. When the time comes for real test, these projects either face delays or reveal deficiencies. The 076 may follow a similar pattern, capable of launching drones of reconnaissance or limited strikes, but far from matching the full airstrike or air superiority roles of a carrier. The claim that it has greater long-range deployment capability is more of a branding exercise than an operational reality. In deep-sea engagements, the ship is likely to remain constrained by U.S. carrier strike groups, submarines, and land-based aircraft. Moreover, while Chinese military bloggers promote the drone carrier concept, the Air Force and naval aviation have yet to produce a mature carrier-based stealth drone. The J-15 successor, the J-35, is still in development, and the KJ-600 carrier-based early warning aircraft is not ready for deployment. To fill the gaps left by the 075 amphibious assault ships and traditional carriers, the 076 faces numerous technological hurdles. The ship's naming, Sichuan, has even led some to joke about its association with spicy hot pot, suggesting the ship may appear hot and exciting, but will need numerous sea trials to prove its worth. Overall, the Sichuan's launch seems like a heavily packaged publicity event. Military media and online commentators have amplified terms like electromagnetic catapult, dual island design, long-range strikes, and drone carrier, encouraging domestic audiences to celebrate as if China's Navy had already reached world-class status. In reality, matching the US carrier fleet remains a distant goal. The 076 role in amphibious operations is yet to be tested, and questions remain about future production, compatibility with the 003 carrier, and logistical and budget constraints. Amid this wave of blind praise, most people are unlikely to scrutinize these issues. Instead, they are more interested in celebrating the moment on social media. What makes this even more surreal is how major international media outlets have approached the story, with caution and skepticism. Voice of America and CAN have raised questions about the drone carrier concept and its implications for regional security. Taiwanese scholars have repeatedly stated that it remains unclear whether this ship prioritizes amphibious assault or is intended as a medium-sized carrier. Meanwhile, Chinese domestic media and a handful of pro-China outlets abroad have lavished unreserved praise. Some military bloggers have even suggested mass-producing 10 or 20 076 ships, claiming they would overwhelm opponents with wolf warrior pack tactics. Warships are not built on hype. Technological expertise, system integration, operator training, and logistical networks require significant time and massive funding. They must also endure trials and setbacks. If the 076 is truly considered a strategic game changer, it will take years of real-world operations to see if it can perform as advertised. Launching drones via electromagnetic catapults, supporting long-range strikes, and deterring key enemy targets. Reality will ultimately provide the answer. As for the United States, it has a clear understanding of these new amphibious assault ships. While remaining highly vigilant about China's naval expansion, the US continues to strengthen its anti-submarine and air defense networks. If conflict erupts in the Western Pacific, the first targets will likely be China's newest large ships, those without nuclear propulsion and reliant on fragile supply lines. Even if the 076 carries drones, they would easily fall prey to opposing aircraft and missiles. Moreover, the US is deeply integrated with regional allies like Japan, South Korea, and Australia, and even European partners could become involved. The 076, celebrated in Chinese propaganda as a revolutionary weapon, could prove to be more symbolic than practical in real confrontations. In the end, the Sichuan ship serves as a cover-up. Its launch may create excitement and shift public focus away from military corruption, leadership upheaval, and economic concerns, but in the long term, its viability on the high seas remains questionable. Forget about challenging US carrier strike groups. Just maintaining a fleet of drones abroad The 076 for training and operations will consume enormous resources. The drone carrier concept is far from mature, yet it is portrayed by officials as a technological marvel. When the time comes, will it falter like Russia's military tech in Ukraine, collapsing under pressure and harsh conditions, or will it remain confined to exercises and propaganda videos? No one can say for sure. One thing is certain, those observing with a clear-eyed perspective sees the 076 as another attempt at Chinese military propaganda, another peak in the information war. The unveiling of this warship reflects a blend of technical, political, and social considerations. It highlights China's shipbuilding boom while exposing flaws in official messaging and internal instability. Amidst domestic challenges and external pressures, the Chinese government seeks to project progress, uplift morale, and deter potential adversaries through displays of advanced military assets. However, this may not alter the broader international landscape or sway informed observers in the West and neighboring countries. An arms race is a double-edged sword. If China expansion provokes greater defense measures and alliances, its rapid shipbuilding could backfire. The 076 is not a superweapon that will propel China's navy to dominance overnight. In future engagements with Western fleets, failure will likely stem from inflated expectations. Shipbuilding and modernization are just the first steps in a long journey. Let's wait and see what waves the 076 stirs in the competitive arena of great power navies. This amphibious assault ship, marketed for its electromagnetic catapults, drone capabilities, dual island design, and heavy displacement, must ultimately prove itself in real-world operations. Military superiority is not determined by flashy promotional materials, but by performance in battle and survival in the toughest confrontations. If the 076 turns out to be another overhyped creation, reality will deliver the final blow. To those watching, stay grounded. Don't let flashy propaganda cloud your perspective. No matter how large the 076 may be, it remains an amphibious assault ship, not a game-changing trump card for China's navy. Whether it secures China's place on the global stage is a question that only time will answer.